Hey everybody, Nathan with Real Lanterns. So glad to be back with you today. Today we're going to look at 5 lanterns that were made for the Milwaukee Road Railroad. And one of these lanterns was made 91 years ago but has never been used. Stick around to the end and you'll see if we actually light that lantern before we're done here. But to give you a little background, the Milwaukee Road Railroad was originally chartered back in 1847. That's like over 170 years ago. Back in 1874, they completed their connection between Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul. And they used those initials, CMStP, on their lanterns. And 3 of the lanterns that I have here with me today have those initials. In 1909, they expanded out to the Pacific, to the Puget Sound. There's some incredible videos. I'm going to link a few in the description. Check those out if you want more history on the Milwaukee Road. After they went through a restructuring in 1925 and through 1928, they added a P for Pacific onto their initials. So then it became the CMStP&P Railroad. And 2 of these lanterns have that on there. There's a ton more that I could tell you about the Milwaukee Road. Just real quick, they're the first ones that used ball bearings in their wheel hubs. They built a lot of their engines right here in Milwaukee. Over 700 engines and cars were built here in Milwaukee. And they held some of the speed records. They had a steam engine that got over 130 miles an hour. Can you just imagine how fast that thing was booking? It's really incredible. And even one of the longest employed people ever, a guy named Johnny Soda Ash Johnny, worked for the company for, I believe it was 83 years. He started when he was like, 15 and then worked up until he was almost 100. Just some incredible stories there. But we're here to take a look at the lanterns. So let's do that. So the first 2 lanterns we're going to take a look at are made by the Adams and Westlake Company. Adams and Westlake was founded in 1874, just 3 years after the Chicago fire in Chicago, as a merger of 2 companies there. That was, if you remember, 1874 is the same year that the Milwaukee Road finished their line from Chicago up to St. Paul. So in 1875, Adlake started making these lanterns, not these specific ones, but this model lantern for the Milwaukee Road. The first ones had the bale, this handle here, attached right up at the top. But then in 1895, Charlie Dietz came out with a patent to attach it to what they call the ears. So these here would have been after 1895. In fact, stamped on their lid is that 1895 patent. So these would have been roughly 1896 to 1907. 1907 is when the wick adjuster was moved from inside, I'll show you that in a second, moved to the outside so that they didn't have to take the lantern apart to raise and lower the wick. So let's take a little bit closer look here. First, you can see the CM and STP Railroad stamped nicely on the top there. If you notice this little lever here, that's actually used for adjusting the globe holder. So if we turn the lantern around, you can see here that we can adjust it for shorter and taller globes. Now this globe that's in here is a number 39 globe, and at that time, the turn of the century, just about every lantern manufacturer made a lantern for this number 39 globe. This particular globe is one of my favorite globes. It's stamped just like on the lid, CM and STP Railroad. Now to get a stamped globe adds a lot of value to your lantern, but specifically a unique color. Railroads would use different colors for different purposes. Red would mean stop. White was kind of your all-purpose globe. They had a blue globe. I've got one of those over there that they would use if somebody was working underneath a railroad, kind of as a warning. Hey, don't move the train. And then here's the green globe we have here. They'd use that for signaling go and things like that. I'll do a whole nother video on lantern signals and that sort of thing. But this one adds, in fact, the globe here is worth more than the frame itself, and it adds a lot of value. And just it looks really cool in here. So that's the globe. I'm going to just set that one aside here. And then as far as the base, on both of these, there's a little latch here, and then it twists and comes out. Real solid connection there. But let me set this down here. A couple things with this. One is the fount is built right into this base. So if you had an issue, a little bit of rust on the fount, it's not interchangeable. And the other thing I want to mention is notice how close to the wick your wick adjuster is, and how you have to basically take the lantern apart to adjust the wick. So that's something that they change in future models here. But that is the earliest Adams and Westlake models. Clicks back together. This is the number 39 Adams and Westlake lantern. Next, let's take a look at the Adams and Westlake Reliable lantern. The Reliable lanterns first came out in 1912, so just on the tail end of the lanterns that we were just looking at there. And there were many different models of this lantern. Started out with the taller lantern globes in here, and they had Adlake Reliables all the way down to about a 4-inch globe. This particular model has patents all the way around the top here, and the latest patent here is from 1923. So this would have, if the patent's on there, the lantern was obviously made after that patent number on there. So this lantern, we know for sure, was made after 1923. But we also know something else here. If we look up here at the stamping on here, this one has the CMStP Railroad. So that was before they changed it to the Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, and Pacific Railroad, which happened right about 1928. So we can pretty safely guess that this lantern would be in that 1923 to 1928 range. Let me show you a few things about this lantern though. First of all, this one and many of the Reliables have this wire frame, and you'll see that kind of sticks with the Adlake lanterns for many, many years. Not all the Reliables had a wire frame though. Some of them did have that bell bottom there. In order to open the lantern, it still had the same thumb, spring latch there would open up, and then you can get your lantern or your globe out. This particular globe is custom made for the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul Railroad, but this one is etched. Etching was a much cheaper process than having to stamp it. That way they could make a whole bunch of clear blanks, and then depending on the railroad, they would just etch it for that particular railroad. The other nice thing with this is that the fount is actually removable and replaceable. So if this rusts out, they can just get a new fount. They don't have to get a new bottom to their lantern or a new lantern. And if you notice, the wick adjuster sits outside of where the globe is, so they could adjust the brightness based, without taking the lantern apart at all. And the final thing I want to point out here is the globe adjuster on the top. This is actually spring-loaded here, so it could use different size globes. And this is the first globe adjuster. I don't think I'm going to be able to get, oh, maybe I will. That actually, I'm not going to get it out right now, but you can actually get those out to completely clean that out. You just, through a twist, there's some thumb or some indents here that hold that up in place there. But you can certainly get that out. And if you're ever refurbishing a lantern, I've taken those out dozens of times. So that's your Adlake Reliable lantern. Very, very popular model. In fact, they kept that in their model line up until the next lantern. So now let's take a look at the Adlake 250. This lantern came out, the 250 came out roughly 1925 to compete with the Arm Spear 1925 lantern. If you look at the two of them, there's a whole lot of similarities between them. This one takes a little bit shorter globe. Again, it's a lot lighter than some of the predecessors, more compact as well. It's got a couple of really neat, unique features. One I want to point out first of all is the bail and how the bail is attached there. One thing I love about this particular one is one of the engineers that used this used some grip tape to make a nice solid grip for himself. A lot nicer than just that bare wire. But if you take a close look up at the side contraption here, The first thing I want to point out is this little circle here up on the top. That is actually used for an option. You can get a wooden bail attachment for these lanterns. Again, that would be more comfortable even probably than the grip tape here. A nice arced wooden handle there. But what we've also got here, we've got the wire one. Notice this one is it's stiff. It's not swinging. Sometimes, depending on how they need to wave the lantern, they need to have it stiff like that. But there's other times where they want that lantern to swing. And the neat thing with this is that this has a capability by just popping these up on the sides. Now if you notice there, now the lantern will, at least to some extent, swing. Or you could, ooh, that's a lovely sound. Or you can even bend the lantern frame down if you need to stick it up on a shelf or something like that too. So this particular lantern is this lantern is stamped with the CMStP&P. So this one would have been after 1928 when they added that designation to their call sign or their letters. But it was probably before 1930 because that's when its successor came out, the Adlake number 300 and 400. So my best guess with this lantern is that it's in the 1928 to 1930 range. Other than that, though, it's very similar to the Reliable, other than it's a little bit shorter. It has the adjustable globe guard here. This particular one, I just put in a nice, beautiful blue. This is not a stamped globe, just a beautiful blue globe. And then it has the removable fount here. In fact, I think the founts might even be interchangeable with that, but don't hold me to that. Oh, and one thing about these lanterns is if you look in the fount, see that padding in there? What that was for is to keep the kerosene from sloshing around when they would do their different signals with these lanterns. So that, my friends, is the Adlake number 250. This last model here is the Dietz Acme Inspector Lantern. Still made for the Milwaukee Road, but made by a totally different company, the Dietz Company, one of the most popular lantern companies ever. In fact, they still make lanterns to this day. This model came out right around the turn of the century, right around 1900, and it was such an improvement for railroads as far as being able to see. They didn't have flashlights back then. A lot of times they would use torches or some of the dead flame lanterns to try to see underneath the cars, and railroads were working 24 hours a day. So this one came out, a couple advancements here, obviously a great handle. They made it very easy to hold there. You can even hang it on a hook. You can see there on the back, Dietz Acme Inspector Lamp. The Dietz company, one of the things that's noted here is that it's got these air tubes. That helps to have a nice steady flame because it recirculates down. This is what you call a hot blast lantern. It recirculates down some of the warm air down into the flame, so it keeps that a nice steady flame. If you look there, it's got a tall cone, and the reason for that is that it puts it smack dab in the middle of that 5-inch mirror reflector in the back. Now this lantern is in such pristine condition. I don't know if it's ever been lit, but it certainly hasn't been lit in several years. Maybe not even since it was first made. Actually, one of the cool things about Dietz is that they tell you exactly when it was made. On the top tube up here, it has stamped S-5-34. The S stands for Dietz's Syracuse, New York plant where it was manufactured. The 5 is the month, so it would be May, and it was 1934. That's what the 34 is. I had a little fun. I looked up what else happened in May of 1934. Now realize this is 91 years ago. May of 1934, two things of note happened. One is that famous duo Bonnie and Clyde. They were killed in a shootout in May of 1934, and the famous Dust Bowl that blew across the Midwest. I believe that was in May 11th of 1934. So this I just wish these lanterns could talk, but it would just be really cool. But I don't believe this has been lit, maybe ever. So let's light it. With this Acme Inspector lantern, to access it, to light it, it has a thumb lift right here, lifts the globe out of the way, and then I'll just grab a lighter here and I'll get it lit. Whenever you light your lanterns, you always want to keep an eye on them, especially in the beginning, because as it heats up that air, oftentimes that flame gets a little bit bigger, or in this case, it gets a little bit smaller. But let's see, it's got to kind of get all across that wick there. But there you have it. And look at how, well, let's see here. Come on, flame, work with me here. There we go. Look at how bright that is. And it goes out again. One of the joys of doing a video here. There you go. You can see how bright that is, and with that reflector in the back, I mean, you can really see how this could work as a flashlight back in the day. So again, this one is from 1934, Dietz Acme Inspector. I'll even turn off the lights and try this here. See how bright that light is? And you can really, it really shines. It shines quite well, projects that light out there. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're really enjoying Real Lanterns. Please like and subscribe. It's just going to help the channel grow so I can get more content like this out. Hey, have a great day. God bless.